Introduce. Get ready. It's the fella.
Hello, all our listeners and watchers. Thank you for tuning in to the latest episode of Movies and Random. Shut your mouth. I'm your host, Ron T, along with my longtime friends, E-Rock, Coach Rod P, Shay Z, and Shownuff. The purpose of this podcast is to give you our honest review of some of the most recent movies out and let you know whether it's worth your time or not. The way we do this is by each person telling you what they liked and disliked about each movie, and then giving it a rating of 1 to 5 movie reels. Once everyone is given their take, we average our scores. If the film averages 3 reels or more, it gets the golden clock, which means it's worth your time to watch. Anything below 3 reels gets the gray broken down clock, which means do not waste your time. And after all of that is done, what would our show be without our opinions on today's current events? So put your phone in your pocket and let us inform and entertain you. Without any further ado, let's talk about movies and random. Shut your mouth.
Hello, all listeners and watchers. You have tuned into this week's episode of Movies and Random. Shut your mouth. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button, and feel free to let us know what you think in the comment section. This is season 1, episode number 4. Yes, we have made it to number 4. I'm your host, Ron T, along with my longtime friends, E-Rock, Shownuff, Shay Z, and our special guest today, Andre Hawkins. We're giving a big shout out to Coach Rod. He's out there making his money, so he'll be back with the next episode. Let's go ahead and get started with our first movie of the day. But before I do that, I want to explain to you what exactly we're doing for you guys. We're providing a service. We're here to give you movie reviews and save you from wasting time searching for something good to watch. Not to mention, you will also get our perspectives and opinions on all the random things in this crazy world we live in. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. So the first title that we're going to review today is The Last Days of American Crime. The release date was June 5th of 2020. You can watch it on Netflix. The main actors are Edgar Ramirez, who plays Graham Brick, Anna Brewster, who plays Shelby Dupree, and Michael Pitt, who plays Kevin Cash. All right, the director is Olivier Oliver. He spells it different. Oliver Megaton. All right. It was shot on location in Cape Town and Johannesburg, South Africa, but the setting is Detroit, Michigan of 2024. All right. This movie is about, in the year 2024, the U.S. government prepares to activate the American Peace Initiative, also known as the API signal. It's a synaptic blocker that will prevent the population from breaking the law. In Detroit, Graham Brick leads a crew of bank robbers, including his brother Rory, who begins a prison sentence. Something goes wrong during the robbery, and this leads to a whole chain of events. All right. So now, before we give our reviews, let me explain the rating system. All of our movies will get between 1 and 5 movie reels, 1 being terrible and 5 being amazing. Once we have given all of our ratings, we will take the average of those ratings, and any movie with a 3 movie reel or higher will get a golden clock, which means it's worth your time to see it. If they get anything below 3, it'll receive a broken gray clock, which means it's not worth your time to go see it. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and give our reviews. We're going to start off with our guest today, Andre. How did you feel about The Last Days of American Crime?
Oh, how did I feel about The Last Days of American Crime? I felt like I was in the last days. This show is very derivative of a lot of other movies, and those other movies did it better. It was not horrible, but wasn't good. It was very basic. I thought that they were going to go into more detail about the synaptic blocker. I thought they were going to go into more detail about them controlling people and whatnot. It's bank robbery / gangster type of film that I just feel a lot of other movies did it way better. And on top of it, they wasted 2.5 hours of my life, and that movie totally could have been an hour and like 10 minutes. I don't feel like no, it could have been. I feel like what we ended up with was worth anything. It didn't make sense. I felt like someone had a budget and somebody else wrote a script, and this is what it feels like. It feels almost like it was a made for Netflix movie and not one of the good ones. It felt like one of the low end ones, and I really just did not enjoy it. I watched it and I almost didn't finish it, but I'm like, for this podcast, I wanted to give it the benefit of the doubt and go all the way through. So technically, if I could give it less than 1 reel, I would, but we're going to give it 1 reel. I mean, there's nothing.
1 reel. Woo, off to a bad start.
It is off to a bad start. Left a bad taste in my mouth. That's it. That's all I have to say.
All right. Next up, we got E-Rock. E-Rock, how did you feel about the last days of American Crime?
Well, I would like to say, starting off, I mirror Andre's thoughts and feelings about the movie, for one. And one thing that I'll say, with movies, I usually watch my movies very late at night. And if the movie is really good, it'll usually keep me up.
Mm-hmm.
I tried on 3 separate days to finish this movie, and I kept falling asleep. I could not do it. So I said, you know what, I'm done with it. But the writing was terrible, the directing was terrible. Just overall, they really didn't spend enough time, I think, in developing the characters. And the movie was way too long.
Mm-hmm.
I think it would have been a lot better if they shortened it by an hour.
Like a half hour. You said an hour.
No, if you think about an hour, it would have been like an hour and 40 minutes.
Right.
It was 2 hours and like 40 minutes or something like that.
Yeah, no.
So, yeah, don't waste your time, people, please. Just don't. I am going to give it 1 reel. I would give it lower, considering that I was not able to finish it because it was that bad. But yeah, that's all I can say about it. I'm interested to see what everybody else has to say.
All right, will the last days of American Crime get out of the gutter? Let's find out. Shay Z, you are next up. How did you feel about the last days of American Crime?
Yeah, so I actually echo my friend's sentiment about the movies in terms of the timeline, or at least the time duration. I thought from the beginning they had a lot of promise. There were a lot of opportunities to break down the synoptics of the movie, the plot. We didn't know much about the gangster family. We didn't know much about how long they've been doing this robbery. And then they spent so much time on certain scenes that I just felt like it was irrelevant. And I know maybe it just felt like the director or whoever was basically splicing the film just said, you know what, we're just gonna keep it. We're just gonna keep it, and they just kept too many. He's gonna keep it, and he just kept going. I was like, are you kidding me? You cannot keep that much film. It's a waste of time. And I knew from like maybe the first 10 minutes, it was already going to be a long movie because I didn't pay attention. Usually when I watch movies, I don't like to pay attention to the length because, like Eric, I like the movie to captivate me. And if it's really good, it doesn't matter how long it is for me, unless it's too long, like 4 hours, then you're doing too much. But anyway, I guess the reason why I'm saying this is in the beginning, I start off watching the movie, and when I see that I'm bored in the first 10 to 15 minutes, I start seeing how much time is left. And I was like, are you kidding me? Mm-hmm. You know, so It's obvious that the time duration of the movie was too long. They could have saved an hour on this and still tell the same story. They could have developed a little bit more of the characters and gone deeper into the plot and explain it. I felt like, I didn't know much about the blocker that was used to prevent them from doing crime. We saw it in the beginning a little bit, but they kind of stopped it. So I wouldn't waste my time watching this movie. You're better off just. I'm actually surprised that Netflix, took this movie on and added it to their list. Of
It makes you wonder who their review system is on Netflix.
Yeah, I'm surprised they took this on. And I feel like if they don't have to take this movie, which means they have to pay money to take this movie to the owners of the movie. And the more they do this, the more, in my opinion, could affect Netflix. There are other competitors out there. So they have to do a better job of selecting. So I'm gonna give it 1 reel out of 5. In my opinion, I could go lower, but yeah, 1 reel.
Wow. Last Days of American Crime, you might be a first on this podcast. You might get the lowest rating of any movie ever so far. Let's see. Mr. Show Nuff, go ahead and give us your review of the Last Days of American Crime.
You know what? I think I feel like I'm wasting my time, wasting the customer's time talking about this. So I'm not going to waste any more time than what my compadres have already told me. Look, this movie was too damn long. It was poorly directed. It didn't have a plot. I felt like the showcase in the movie, the only good thing in the movie was just the weapons being used. Outside of that, everything was horrible. Even when the guy was racing away with the semi-truck, went through several barricades. And
don't tell too much of the movie. I guess they ain't watching it nowhere, right?
It's just, I felt like there are a lot of unrealistic things in the movie that I felt like, come on.
I felt like a lot of people should have died.
I should have died. I mean, that many bullets, several weapons, and then nothing. I just felt like movies, for me, it has to captivate you, just like everybody said. And when the movie's good, you never pay attention to the time, ever. Like I was constantly checking. My gosh, I still have an hour left. When I was hitting my remote and I fell asleep, and then the explosion woke me up. Like, oh, what did I miss? I was like, oh, nothing. I didn't even bother rewinding the movie because I felt like I need to get rid of, watching this movie. So I'll give it a 1.5 for rating. 1.5 real.
Isn't that something? Kept them out of the gutter by a little bit.
Yep.
All right. I guess that leaves me. So I had high hopes for this movie because the plot was very promising. I mean, a signal that keeps people from doing crime. I wanted to see how that was going to work. I wanted to see how the main characters were going to thwart the signal. But all I got was a movie that was all over the place. Unbelievable scenarios, along with unnecessary characters that didn't lead you anywhere. That cop, I was like, what was the point? I thought that was going to do something.
Exactly.
So, ladies and gentlemen, if you listening to this and you watch the movie, let me know in the comment section if you thought the same thing about the cop. That's all I'm going to say without giving it away. It just led me nowhere. This movie was confusing and long. This movie was awful. Okay, awful. The worst movie I've seen to date since we started the podcast. By far.
Date.
So let me give you a fun fact. Like I tend to always do that with movies. In the opening scene, a street in Johannesburg, South Africa, can be seen when Lotus optometrist sign in the window is revealed, as well as the yellow rumble strips in the center of the road. So remember, this film was shot in Johannesburg, South Africa. The setting is Detroit, Michigan, going over into Canada. You really don't get a sense of any of that. It was shot in South Africa, so you actually have some whoopses in there. You can, if you really go back and look at it, you'll find some signs that says Johannesburg, Africa. So with all of that said, I give this movie a 1 myself, and I guess that goes to an average of let's see, we had a 5.5, a 1.1.
Yeah.
So we have an average movie reel of 1.1, which means it gets the gray broken clock. And that means, ladies and gentlemen, it is not worth your time. Do not waste your time to go see this. It is a terrible movie. All right, next up, moving right along. Oh,
before
Andre, go ahead. You got something to say?
Yeah. 2 things real quick. the reason they had that cop character did not go anywhere, but the reason they had him in there is that was Charlton Copley. And since it was in Johannesburg, he's probably like the biggest star to come out of Johannesburg because he was in that and he was in District 9.
District 9? Yeah, I thought I noticed him.
I remember. Yeah, I remember him. I was like,
that was
who is
terrible. That was a terrible decision. Like, if you could use the star wisely.
Use them wisely, yeah. And another thing is, you talked about, filming in South Africa, but it's supposed to be Detroit setting. People from Detroit will want to see some type of landmark. I didn't until you said that. I was like, I didn't know that it was actually depicting that it was in Detroit, even though they're
no idea it was supposed to be.
That's my job, fellas. I try to get the Carfax, man. So when we talk about the movie,
right,
give you something to look at. All right, everybody, all thoughts clear? We can move on from this. This movie stinks.
Yeah.
All right. So next up is The Invisible Man. Now, The Invisible Man was released in February 28th of 2020. Due to COVID, the release date got pushed back. It was supposed to come out a little bit earlier. So where can you watch it? Right now, you can rent it on all streaming platforms that rent movies out. The main actors were Elizabeth Moss, who played Cecilia Cass, Oliver Jackson Cohen, who played Adrian Griffin, Aldous Hodge, who played James Lanier, Storm Reed, who played Sydney Lanier, and Harriet Dyer, who played Emily Cass. All right. The director was Lee Wano, or Wano, however you pronounce that. The location was Sydney, Australia, and New South Wales, Australia. The setting is California of 2020, somewhere in between San Francisco and San Luis Obispo. I can't pronounce it right, but it's where Cal Polytechnic Institute is, college is at, because she wore that shirt throughout the film.
Right.
All right. The basic plot of the movie is based on the original H.G. Wells book of the same title, The Invisible Man. A woman who believes she is being stalked by her abusive and wealthy boyfriend even after his apparent suicide, and ultimately deduces that he has acquired the ability to become invisible. Okay, so right there, that jumps out at you. But we're not gonna do my review. We're gonna start off with our special guest, Andre. Andre, what did you think of The Invisible Man 2020?
I honestly think, for me, that this was a phenomenal movie. The director, Lee Whannell, he has such a way of directing subtlety. The budget for this movie is not, I can't remember off the top of my head, but it was like a lower budget, and what he was able to do with their lower budget was amazing.
I believe it was $7 million.
Yeah, and that's
they earned 134
for like a horror movie or a thriller or something. That's pretty low, but the nuances in which of how he brought the Invisible Man to life and the things that he did in the background was phenomenal. I feel like it was well directed. I feel like they utilized all their actors, even people who had larger parts or people who had smaller parts. He utilized all the actors beautifully. I'm trying to think of Elizabeth Moss. That's the name of the actress. Mm-hmm. You have seen her in
The Handmaid's Tale.
What's that?
That's right. Yeah, that's
The Handmaid's Tale, the series on Hulu.
In Handmaid's Tale, but I think she was in that other. There was a show about marketing or advertising in the 70s or 60s or in the 50s. That's escaping me right now. Anyhow, she does a beautiful job realizing the anguish of her character, Hugh's girlfriend. She does a very good job of. She's very believable in how she combats it. She makes sense in what she tries to do in trying to reveal the Invisible Man. I don't think there was anything dumb or anything foolish. She kind of approached this as a real world human, like throwing flour on somebody or paint or somebody. She's like, something's really going on. I cannot give this movie enough accolades. I want to give it props again for another thing, because Elizabeth Moss is not what the type of woman you would generally see in a Hollywood blockbuster. They have this idealized version of a woman. She is a very natural shaped woman, very natural, regular looking.
Exactly.
And she blew the spot up. She did a wonderful job. I don't think any other actress could have done a better job. So I could go on and on and on. I mean, even the technology in the movie almost made sense, or
Right.
it made sense. It's like
It made sense. Right.
This
Right.
is very possible. And I think that's what makes the movie so strong, because it feels believable. It almost feels like an
I
episode of.
pray it's not possible because we're doomed if that's what.
All right, Dre. Save us some stuff. So we
All I'm gonna say is I feel that this was an awesome movie, great date movie. I give it 5 reels out of 5.
Ooh.
That might be a first.
Is that a first? Yeah, I believe that's a
That might
first.
be a first. That is a
It would.
first.
A special guest come in and wreck shop. Look.
Movie. It's almost a flawless movie. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm done.
Okay. All right. Next up, we got
All right.
E-Rock. He ready to give his review. Go ahead. What did you think about The Invisible Man?
No, I actually really loved it. I kind of, in my mind, went back to a movie from 2000 with Kevin Bacon, Hollow Man,
Right.
and was wondering, okay, I thought that was pretty decent, but this actually blew Hollow Man out of the water.
Right.
Going back to like what Dre was saying, the acting was phenomenal. The thing that really caught my attention was how believable they made the technology and the situation feel. It really felt like something like this could happen in real life. And it was realistic because, again, like Dre was saying, using the flower to expose him and to kind of help, kind of balance out where he was and where he, wasn't, because he was invisible. I thought that was just awesome that they were able to, incorporate that into the movie. And even the times when he was like, situation when it was like he was burnt, I felt like that was really cool how they showed the effect of how that would look if someone was, invisible. So overall, I would say that this movie is definitely a must watch. Great movie to watch with your boo late at night. Gives you a lot of good jumps, a lot of thrills. So overall, I'm going to give it 4.5 reels. I'm not going to be as easy as Dre on it, but it was really good, and I say you definitely will not be wasting your time if you decide to watch it.
All right, good stuff. So far, so good. Moving on. Shay Z, you are up next. What did you think of The Invisible Man?
All right. So I actually like the movie a lot. I'm not, I would say I'm not a huge fan of horror movies, but I know the genre says horror, mystery, and suspense, and then sci-fi and fantasy. So out of those categories, it was more suspense than it was horror. So it's not your typical horror movie, but there were episodes or sections of the episode of the film that kind of jumps at you as a horror movie. So if you're a fan of the horror movie, you would love this. If you're a huge fan of sci-fi in terms of the technology, like my friends mentioned, you will actually love this movie.
It's like a thriller.
Yeah, it is.
So it has that thrilling, suspenseful effect on the movie. You will be on edge for the most part, but as I caught myself being on edge, but trying to solve the puzzle. And that's, if you're like me, you would actually do the same when watching this movie. The characters were phenomenal. Elizabeth Moss was definitely the prize asset of the movie. I also like Storm Reed. She played Sydney's character. I like, as a child, being in fear. You would see the real raw emotion. If you're a parent, you will feel that jumping out of the screen. So I could relate to just how the father, Aldous Hodge, played her father, in the movie. The the emotional connection. You can tell there was a really genuine relationship between those two. All in all, all the character development made a lot of sense. The plot was great. The scientific feeling of the movie was great. It definitely looks realistic in the technology. The length, what I wasn't bothered about the length at all. And then the director, I would say he was very brilliant at distracting us with amusing and knowing dialogues. The way he panned the camera scenes got you stuck into the movie for a little bit. So for the most part, and he was very good at taking a low budget movie and making a masterpiece. That's one of his creativity, his creative skills, I should say. So I would give it a 4.5 out of 5 reels. It's that close to being a perfect movie.
All right. Running pretty good right now. All right, show enough. Let me know what you think about I was about to say the Last Days of American Crime. The Invisible Man.
We're not talking about that.
The Invisible Man was an amazing movie to me. I enjoyed every bit of it. I'm a big fan of Elizabeth Moss. Wifey and I, we've watched 3 seasons of The Handmaid's Tale, and she is an excellent actress. If y'all don't know who Elizabeth Moss is,
She was great in the kitchen too.
Right, the kitchen. But her coming out party is The Handmaid's Tale on Hulu. Watch that series. But we knew when I watched it, I watched it at the time of release. As soon as they advertised it, we went ahead and rented it. Yep. And because we're a big fan of her, so when I watched it, I knew the movie was going to be good. I just didn't know how good it was going to be, because growing up watching Invisible Man from the British series that they had when I was growing up in Nigeria, to The Hollow Man that Kevin Bacon did. I like the idea that this current director that did this 2020 version paid homage to all of those movies, showing different scenes, how the Hollow Man looked, another scene where the old version back in the early 50s looked. They paid homage to every single one of them. That was very clever of the director to do that, and I enjoyed it. The technology is what really scared me. Because it is believable. It is something that can actually happen when they explain the science behind it. That is something that people need to keep an eye on, and hopefully no one with a lot of money does.
I hope it doesn't work.
So, and the whole plot and how everything came together and the way the movie was set, I enjoyed every part of this movie. I'll give this movie a 5 reels, 5 out of 5. Director was great. The acting was great. The cast was great. The story was great. I didn't see anything wrong with it. And maybe it's because as a fan of Invisible Man, this topped every single one of them.
It did.
So that's what made me give it 5 out of 5. So I give it 5 out of 5 reels.
Okay. Oh, wow. Wow. This is probably going to be the highest rated movie possibly out of all the movies we've done so far. I enjoyed the movie. What I really liked about it most was the movie started right in the thick of things. It didn't waste time giving you a bunch of backstory, because you could kind of figure it out, right from the first thing. You're like, okay, I see what's going on. She's being abused. It reminded me of Sleeping with the Enemy with Julia Roberts. And the movie was dark, and it used the suspense very well. What I did not like about it was some of the plot holes. For instance, how do you get away with certain things without more police involvement? If you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. And some things that don't make sense, like how do things fit? I'm trying not to give too much of the movie away. Think about that.
Yeah, it sounds like you're about to give the movie in order for.
That's all I can say. You guys know what I'm talking about. How do things fit? How do things just automatically fit?
Well, it sort of fit for me.
No. I'm talking. You know what I'm talking about. You know what part I'm talking about.
I don't know what part you're talking about.
You know what part I'm talking about? Okay.
Explain it as much as you can.
I'm a grown man. Man, and I have a certain build.
Okay.
Right. Everybody's not my same build.
Right.
Nanotechnology.
So
I'm thinking maybe it's
was not.
It's not explained. It's not explained.
And that I had a problem with that because it could have been.
You're talking about the technological. Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about.
Right.
And listeners, I'm sorry. You got to see the movie. This actually should give you energy to go see it. This should inspire you to go see it because I want you to look for this and ask some of these same questions and maybe come up with some solutions on how they could have added some more explanation into the movie because I think
that's what the director was trying to get us to understand, that maybe because its suit is technological, that maybe it.
That's a stretch. Because that's you talking two different fits.
Right. All right. I got you.
What else? Okay. I just think that I wish they would have took the time to address it. Like for instance, how does the guy go to the bathroom without getting caught? Never saw that. You locked up. How are you watching me? You locked up with me, right? You can't phase through walls. Once again, does not mean it, these are small things. These aren't shattering things
into the details.
No, but my point is that it didn't take too much to show us or to explain it. You didn't have to go out of your way to do it. You could have just showed us something, or somebody could have mentioned something that could have explained it away without me having to be like, hold on, that don't make sense. And that's what I did with some of the movie. There's just certain parts where I was like, that doesn't really make sense. It's not practical. So once again, this is a whole unbelievable scenario. It's science fiction. I get it. Right. So I'm not expecting everything to be like as it would be in real life.
Right.
But there are certain things that if it was a real life scenario, you got to add some practicality to it.
I hear that.
Once again, using the bathroom. They're like, come on. We never saw that. You're watching me 24/7. At no time did you go to the bathroom. Once again, you could have, but just show us how you did it. That's it. And that would have been easy peasy.
Right.
That wouldn't have been more than 5 minutes of the movie. Because then we would have inferred, okay, that's how he did it the whole time. So trying not to get too much of the movie away.
The director probably just wanted us to use our imagination.
And directors
when it comes to the sci-fi.
They tend to do that. They want you to figure some of the things out on your own.
Suspend your belief.
Right.
Your disbelief, excuse me.
Yeah, some things are just simple stuff. I don't want to. It's like you said, Dre, a long time ago. Like the Flash could get taken out by a pebble because he's going so fast he could trip over a rock, get tore up. It's like I want you to explain something that simple. These are simple things you could have easily.
That's a whole nother conversation.
Kept us from having to ask.
I can explain why it won't trip over a pebble, but go ahead.
But my point is, but I really like the twist on it, especially the ending.
Right.
But it could have been more thought out as well. Some of that ending could have been a little more thought out. True. I think they would seem like they were running out of time. But the movie was a solid movie. So I'm gonna give you a fun fact, and then I'm gonna give you my review. The fun fact that I had was that the house interiors are made up of 4 different actual houses. Adrian's bedroom, for example, is actually a living room in a house in Sydney. Remember, this is shot in Sydney, but it was pretending like it was in California.
Right.
All right. Sydney, Australia. So with all of that said, because it was a solid movie, anytime you have a solid movie, then I'm going to give you a 3. Then from that point, I start adding or taking away things based on if I have a problem with some of the questions that aren't answered. So I gave this movie a 3.5 out of 5. It was a solid movie.
Critic.
It was a solid movie.
You are.
But I don't think this is better than the 5 Bloods. No way was it better than that.
You know what?
But I'm not equating it to the 5 Bloods.
No, acting is acting.
Different.
No, it doesn't have to be the same.
Is it different genre?
So you're saying the genres matter? like that doesn't genre shouldn't matter. Acting and storylines are storylines.
But directing matters. It doesn't really matter what.
Okay,
all
directing
of
matters. I think
the
I
plot-
think
the
Spike
plot-
Lee joint was a better joint than Mr.
The
Wyatt.
plot-
And you're absolutely right. What was the average score for the Five Bloods?
Okay, so the average score was a 19.7. That's the highest total so far. That basically gives it the golden clock, and it is
The total score was 19.
So the average score was 19.7. It's
total.
above a 3.
The total.
It's 19.7. The average is what is different.
Oh, did I mess that up? Oops.
Yeah,
sorry.
you said the average. The total is 19.7. The
I messed
average
that
would
up.
be like a 5.
Look, it's a 3.94.
For
So I
which
didn't
movie?
finish dividing it out. So it's a 3.94, which gives it the golden clock. It is worth you guys' time to go see it. So please go see the movie. It was actually worth your time. It is very suspenseful. I know I brought the average down, but hey, it's a solid movie. But it ain't. I'm not giving it more than the Five Bloods. I thought the Five Bloods was better.
What was the Five Bloods average?
I don't remember. That was a while
That was
ago. I probably have to look through some papers for that. I
Okay.
think I wrote it down. Hold up.
Yeah,
hold up.
I
actually might have it.
thought the director for this movie. I mean,
The average was 4 reels for the Five Bloods.
Okay.
So it wasn't too far.
I'm good. I'm good with that. I'm good with
Yeah.
that.
Like I said, I brought it down, but yeah, I
But
can't
everybody
believe
get-
but
I can't
how-
believe
how
I
is it
can't believe y'all gave
3.9?
it 5.
How is it 3.9?
No, I don't think it was
Everything
5.
was like
And
Five.
let me tell you, and let me Ron,
there were
let me
2
tell you why I
5s
gave
and
it-
2 4s. How did you get it down to
No.
3.9?
Ron, let me tell you why
Right.
I gave it a 5.
I gave it a 4.5.
Yeah, Dre
Ron,
gave it a 5. I gave it a
Ron.
5.
Ron, let me tell you why I gave it a 5. I gave it a 5 because and this from an entertaining movie that makes sense, that flowed. You did not feel the time in the movie. I can't even remember what the runtime. I think it was 2 hours and something. But it was different enough with some of the similar beats, but it was just entertaining all throughout. And it wasn't too much of this. They mastered whatever budget they had. And this is not saying that you're wrong in your opinion, Ron. It's your opinion.
No, you're wrong.
No, I got you.
I can't-
Forget you.
I can't take that away. But the reason I give it a 5, it was just. it
Ron,
was
I think
awesome.
you need to do
almost
that
went-
math again. I don't think
I'm doing it now. I'm doing it now.
Because I just did the math. It's definitely where if Dre and I gave it a 5 and
Yes.
Eric gave it a 4.5, you're the
Yes.
only one that gave it below.
I'm sorry. 4.5. It was a
That's
4.5.
what I said.
I didn't include something where I added an extra thing or something. Look, man, I'm doing like 5 other things. Y'all leave me alone.
I get it. 4.5.
Either
So that's a good movie.
way, my listeners and viewers, you do need to go see this movie. It's a good one. Okay, don't worry
Worth
about my math skills. That has nothing to do with whether you need to go see this movie or not. You need to go see the movie and you judge for yourself. But it was definitely a solid movie. It's definitely worth watching. It was way better than The Last Days of American Crime. So,
Not only that, it was better. It was way better than I expected it to be. I think that's another thing.
That's that's the reason why I gave it a 5. I said
not
I
a
thought it was
5 though.
basic.
Oh, I can't even.
So for me,
that
I gave
means
it a-
this movie had no flaws whatsoever. I'm sorry, I can't.
I
do it.
didn't see
I
it.
said
Okay,
nearly.
that's
I didn't say
my
no
that's
flaws.
my
Right, you're
Let
right.
me-
You're right.
No,
Let me say
I
this.
gotta be perfect for me to give you a 5.
let me say this:
It
there
was
are very
perfect.
few movies in history.
You're right.
That to me, will be 5.
Exactly, I
And
agree.
The Invisible Man cannot be 5 because there are movies that I've seen in my entire
Yep.
lifetime that
Well,
I think
This
should
wasn't
be
better.
5.
This wasn't better than
But
Inception.
No.
but you see what we're doing is
Inception is a 5 to me.
But this show is about rating the movie if it's worth the audience time. And when you sit down and you say it's worth the
Yes.
audience time, for
Yes.
me, I'm not comparing it to other movies. I'm comparing it to the movie
But-
as an audience. And as an audience, I watched the movie, and the fact that there've been previous Invisible Man, Hollow Man movies before, this topped it. That's the reason why I
This is
gave
better
it a
than
5.
all the.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
So
but
that's-
in
I'm
order,
not comparing it to other
but
movies.
our
I'm like-
scale, but based on our scale, if it gets a 3 or above, it's worth watching. So I don't
Right.
have to give it a 5. I
No,
gave it a 3.5.
I know you don't have to
I'm
give it a
telling
5.
y'all to go watch it.
But let me ask
So
you
that's
this.
why I'm like, I'm not gonna give it a 5 because
All right, so then let me ask
there's
you this.
other
Like
movies
Show
that
Enough-
I would pick
It
over
sounds
this.
like Show Enough does not like 3.5. What? Tell me why you don't like 3.5.
Let me ask you this. Let me ask you this, Ron. Would you watch the movie again?
No, but I'm different. I don't watch movies over. I don't have that kind of time.
You
We
don't
got
watch
other stuff to
movie-
watch. I don't. I've
You
never
watch it
watched
one
a
time
movie
and
more
you're
than
done
once.
for
You
life.
never watched the movie over.
Nope.
Really?
Really? And that's probably why
I don't believe
that's
that.
probably why when we always talking, I don't be knowing quotes of movies and stuff.
I don't believe that.
Make this
I
a
don't
topic.
believe that. Have you watched? Okay, Coming to America.
No, I haven't.
You watched,
No, I've seen it. And I was good with it. I love that movie.
you watched it one time.
One time. That's all I need to see.
I don't.
Ron
believe
is
it.
lying, man.
No, I'm
telling
not.
you.
Think about it. Y'all been around me long enough. Think about it. Have I ever said, "Oh, I watched this"? Or when y'all quote
Okay.
movies, a lot of times I don't be
That's
knowing what y'all
actually
talking
true.
about.
Have you watched The Wiz more than once?
I may have. I'm not sure. I have it on DVD. I don't know if I gotta go look. It might actually still be in the wrapper.
I still find it hard to believe that you haven't watched any.
And if I watched it over, it was because like my niece
Without asking
never
the
seen
reason
it.
why.
No, don't
No,
start.
I
Don't start.
It's not entertaining to me to watch stuff over
Don't-
again. Like I don't. That's
It's
once
okay.
I see
Look,
it, it's over.
I'm not hating on him. I mean, it's okay.
The thrill
What's
is
your-
gone.
What's your favorite movie?
That's
In my top 5, I would say The Prestige.
Have you seen it more than once?
I've only seen it once.
What
That's
about
believable.
what about Batman? Not Returns.
Dark
What's the one
Knight?
people- Dark Knight Rises.
I
Yeah,
only seen it at the theaters.
You've
That's the only two.
you've never gone to a movie theater twice to see the same movie?
No, heck no.
Wow.
Never.
Hey, if he says
So
that,
It's because
So wait,
for
Ron,
me
why are we
the
trying to
thrill is
debate this? I
gone.
don't
No,
know
this is a
that-
good topic to talk about. What if you turn on your TV, you put it on TNT, and all of a sudden a movie you've watched before comes on? You've never sat down and said, "Oh, you know what? Let me watch this movie."
Not
You've
the
never
whole way
watched-
through.
you've
I
never
probably
watched-
I probably will get up.
You've
I
never
get
watched
bored.
any
so
of the
funny to
Marvel
me.
movies twice.
Heck no. They're way too long for me to watch it twice.
How about The Matrix?
No. I watched it when it came. I worked at the theater and I watched it when it came
So
out.
basically, the last time you watched The Matrix first one was
1999 when it came out.
Wow.
Wow.
I don't have to watch stuff over though. That's what I'm saying. Like I get it. I'm cool. I'm not looking for extra
You
little
know-
tidbits.
To me though,
I may do
that
it
means
now
you're
because
not.
we doing
you're
this
not-
podcast, but
You're not really
To me, you're not really a movie lover then.
You're not really, and you shouldn't be. It questions your criticism of a movie because usually, sometimes you watch a movie once, you may miss out on something. You
Yeah,
might have
I
to
like
watch
going
it
back and see
again.
stuff that I
So the
didn't
thing
know.
is, if you
I
want to criticize, movie,
I wouldn't judge that based on
no. But that's
your
what
ability
critics
to
do.
critic to be a critic.
okay,
No, I don't-
this is coming from two people who couldn't even finish the last days of American
No,
Crime.
I did.
Exactly.
Get out of my
I
face.
did.
I ain't trying to
No,
hear
I
that.
did. I finished the whole movie.
Shut it down. I ain't trying to hear
I
that.
finished the whole movie.
Yeah, okay.
I
That ain't what you
my
said
iPhone.
earlier.
what I
That
said.
we'll play the
That was
tape
not-
back.
that was not what you said. You said you fell
You
asleep and woke up and said, "Oh, what did I
Thank
miss?"
you.
No,
That's
Thank
what
you.
said.
I was falling
Okay,
asleep,
okay.
And as I was falling
You're not a
asleep,
real
I woke
movie
up.
lover. If you're a real movie lover, I need you to go watch that over because you
wait,
probably
hold on.
missed something.
Hold on a second. A movie
That's
lover
true.
doesn't mean that you should sit and keep your eyes peeled to a boring movie.
Wait,
A boring
what?
movie-
How do you know it's boring? You gotta watch it over, right? You gotta
You
watch
know,
it 3 or 4
first
No,
times.
no, no. I can tell
Within
that for the first 35 minutes.
Hey, thank you.
But this is what you don't
But
understand.
Dre,
Because
but
I
guys,
only watched it once doesn't mean I'm saying it's a bad movie.
But guys,
All I'm
you're
saying is
saying
if you wanna
you just
criticize a
said
movie,
you
miss out
just
on some
said
stuff,
that
and you have to
he
watch it
is
again.
not a fan or he's not a movie fan if he doesn't
movie
watch
lover.
it. But
I didn't say that. I said-
Eric, you did not even watch the whole movie, so
No,
does
no.
that make you less of a movie?
Eric just say nothing. I said that because I'm
No, I couldn't
don't
watch it.
understand.
For one,
But you
the
can't call
movie.
someone
No,
else a
okay. Let me put it like
non-fan.
this. Let me put it
But
like
if you
this.
don't watch the whole movie yourself,
If you don't watch very good movies more than once, to me, you're not a movie lover. This was a horrible movie. I couldn't stay up. It put me to sleep.
okay, let me ask you this. Do you think Cisco
But how
and
do you-
Ebert-
how do you
think-
determine-
let me ask you this. Do you think Cisco and Ebert ever fell asleep on the movie to give a rating?
That's their job.
What
They
do you
have
think
to
we're
stay.
doing now?
So this
It's not our job.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so that means I don't have to watch it 2 and 3 times because I don't got time. I have a
Okay.
2-year-old.
No,
Okay,
but
good.
we already proved you. We already proved you wrong. You said that
How?
you may have watched The Wiz more than once. You said you've never
Look,
watched.
I said I may.
The reason why I picked The Wiz because I know you like singing and dancing. So I picked that movie because
so the fact, okay, so because I have a 98 8% average of not watching stuff over. That
no,
2% makes
No,
me not a lover. That's terrible. That's
there's
terrible
more.
logic.
Trust me,
Terrible
there's
logic.
more. There's more.
Eric, but you
There's
know
too
what?
many.
Eric,
There's
for
more.
the most part, I'll change my statement. For the most part, I don't watch stuff over, and I don't feel like you always have to, unless you are doing a book report or something.
I know.
Okay.
Exactly.
In this case, we
thank
might
you,
be
and I'm
doing
glad-
book reports, but the difference is that when I watch a movie, I literally, especially because this podcast, I go look at the reviews and everything that I might have missed. They actually write this stuff out, so I don't have to watch it all over again. I don't like watching it because
but the thing is, Ron,
the reason I go
Ron,
to
the reason
movies
why-
is because I like to get thrilled through unexpectation. So I'm not expecting something you twist or like I want to see how it plays out because I don't know. If I already know that thrill is gone, so I'm not interested in seeing it over.
Well, I see what
Ron
Ron is doing. I like the opposite. Like I like to watch certain movies again because I want to relive that thrill.
right?
See that I can't relive a thrill,
But you see,
not
Look,
in a movie.
Both
That's
sides
tough
make
for me.
sense.
But you know
Both
what,
sides
That's
Ron,
tough
make
the
for
reason
me.
why
This is
I
why
say
we are both
For-
on this podcast.
that. right, and for an avid, a regular person who watches movies, and I know this has happened to every single one on Earth that has watched a movie of some sort. At
On
some
Earth?
point, you're gonna watch some movies where you get everything that is, the plot, and you say, you know what, I got everything in that movie. On certain movies, you're gonna be like, you know what, I missed that part. I want to see what I missed.
I
Right.
think you miss
So the
something in
thing
every
is-
movie because
That was,
that's just
that
how
was
your
like
brain is.
that was like the Prestige. The Prestige, I had to watch it like two or three
Two or three
times because
times.
there was
There's
so
some
much
movies
stuff
like
in that
that.
movie.
And that's the reason why when you said I've never watched a movie, I said that can't
Wait,
be
who was in the
possible.
Prestige?
Yeah, for the
again?
most
I forgot
part,
about
I
it.
have
What?
not watched
was it?
movies.
Man, the
Sorry,
Prestige, there was a lot of stuff that happened in
What
that
was
movie.
the Prestige? I gotta
That's one of my
remember.
all-time favorite
That was
movies.
one of
but
the
that's
that was
because
a magician
I
movie.
was like,
magician movie.
whoa,
Yeah.
I did not see that coming. And anytime you make me go through that emotion where I go high, low, and then I can't even figure out the ending, you got me. You got me. Once again, this movie was a solid movie. I'm not saying it was, and see, that's my barometer. I'm like, well, okay, this was a good movie, but when I think of, let's say, the same genre, okay, when I think of something in that same genre, was it on that level? The same way we do with basketball players. Who's the greatest of all time? That ain't a fair comparison.
Michael Jordan.
You know what I'm saying? But some people would say LeBron, and they played two different games in two different eras. You know,
Right,
that
I
kind of
got it.
thing. So it's the same thing.
Well, like for instance, this movie coming out, The Tenant, because Christopher Nolan did it, I know I'm gonna have to watch it at least twice.
Oh heck
Right.
yeah! It's just like
Any of his
Inception on
movies, you're gonna have to do
steroids.
that.
All his movies are like that. Christopher
So-
Nolan's movies are like that. I mean, he confuses you, and then you miss something, and you're like, I gotta watch that again. That's a good movie. I missed something, and that's
All right,
what-
well let's get going. Let's get going to the next thing because I know
Great
these
topic.
people was tired of us, going back and forth, and I'm probably yelling in everybody's ear. Sorry, y'all. Y'all gonna have to get used to that. I'm a yeller, and I make no bones about it. This is who I am. And what I don't like, and I might fight you, is when people try to tell me to calm down. I am in my 40s, okay? Ain't about me calming down. This is who I am. This is who I'm gonna be for the rest of my life. So
We
if
all
I
yell.
yell, you take it personal. You probably don't need to talk to me because I ain't even trying to be not y'all, but just for the listeners to get to know me a little bit. Y'all gonna hear me yelling a lot, and I know, and I ain't the only one on here. Y'all gonna see. All right, TV show of the week, y'all. Andre, I think Andre got his mic off. Can you hear me, Andre? Or I'll
Yeah,
go to somebody
yeah.
else. Okay, there you go.
Sorry.
All right, what is your TV show of the week? What TV show do you need the listeners and the watchers to look at?
There was one new show that kind of like really blew my mind. It's on HBO Max, and on top of that,
One I was gonna do next week. Go ahead.
are you talking about Raised by Wolves?
Oh no, I haven't checked it out yet. I'm going to check that one out tonight.
Let me tell you this: the first episode is on YouTube. The full episode is on YouTube. Very interesting.
What TV show? The one with Seth Rogen?
No,
Do
it's
what?
called Raised by Wolves. It's on HBO.
It's called
Oh,
Raised
okay.
by Wolves.
Oh, okay.
And what it is essentially is a group of scientists, and this is after an apocalypse happened on Earth. Scientists created these androids, and the androids, they take human embryos and then kind of grow them to children. But the whole thing about these scientists and these androids is they are very technocratic, and they are self-proclaimed atheists. And so what they're trying to do is these two androids are trying to raise these kids, but trying to raise them as atheists. And then there's a group of humans on a ship called the Ark, and they are theists. They are Christians. And so one of the lead
Are they fundamentalist Christians? Are they fanatic Christians? Or are they regular?
I would almost go on that they are the fanatical Christians.
Okay.
But from the first episode, there's only so much you know. And the thing is, for people who are fans of Vikings, the original Ragnar Lothbrok actor, Travis Fimmel, he's on this show now. Very sci-fi, very interesting, very
Cutting edge.
What's that?
Cutting edge. Would you say it's like storyline?
No. It's cutting edge, but it's very philosophical. That's the word I was looking for. And so, for fans of sci-fi, I think you would enjoy this. It's tempting me to get my HBO subscription back, but I'm one of those people where I'm paying for 3 different whatevers, and that's all I'm paying for. I'm not going on paying for others because I can find it elsewhere. But you heard it here. So, Raised by Wolves, very interesting.
Nice.
Raised by Wolves. I'm gonna check that out.
All right, Eric. TV show of the week.
Okay, my TV show of the week is a Netflix original series. It's actually called Mindhunter.
I started that.
Yeah, Mindhunter is awesome. I love it. It really focuses around 2 FBI agents and the start of the behavioral science unit, where they are studying the minds of serial killers and how they think. So there's a lot of focus on Charles Manson. What's a lot of notorious killers throughout history are highlighted in this show. If you like kind of criminal criminology type shows, things like that, this is a really good watch. There's 2 seasons out, so you can access it on Netflix. And believe me, you will not waste your time if you are into these criminology type TV shows. So I would say definitely check it out.
That's a good one. All right. TV show of the week. Show enough. Oh no, Shay Z. Shay Z, you up. They're twins. All my listeners, Shay Z and Show Enough are twins. And I've been knowing these guys for over 20 years now. And I still can't tell them apart. And that's terrible. I know.
You never will.
Go ahead, Shay Z.
You never did, and you never will.
So my TV show of the week is Apple TV Plus original called C. It's an epic drama starring Jason Momoa and Alfred Woodard. And it's set 600 years in the future after the virus had decimated humankind and rendered
isn't that appropriate?
Basically rendered the whole population, the remaining population, blind. And when all humanity lost their sense of sight, they must adapt to find new ways to survive. You can find the first season on Apple TV Plus. I think the character development is amazing in the first season. It's a drama series, and I know if you like anything closer to Game of Thrones, other than the ending, but if you like the Game of Thrones series and you like, it's basically 600 years into the future, but it kind of like sets the whole timeline back. Anyway, you understand. The second season comes out in November this year, so you have time to watch the first season. I think it's a great watch.
I have a question, Shay.
Yeah.
Now I saw the promos for that. On a personal level, I couldn't get into it. How do you speak to a person like me who couldn't get into it? Because I feel like the premise is flawed because these people are supposed to be blind, but some kind of way they created clothes for themselves.
So what you have to
Same logic I was using for the Invisible
Without-
Man. Thank you.
without that was the same thing I had when I first started, and I couldn't understand. My wife and I were like, well, let's just check the first episode. This doesn't make sense. After I saw the preview, it doesn't make sense. How would this survive? But when you watch the first couple of episodes,
Okay,
you will actually see how
Adaptation.
ways,
yeah.
how they
See, they
adapted.
actually went
It's
to
adaptation.
You adapt.
And
Your other
to-
senses become stronger.
Right.
And to echo Ron's point, this is a season series. This is a series, so there's more time to develop and explain all of that. So you'll find out how.
Okay.
It's hard to capture all of that in one
good
movie.
directors
but
can
in
do
a
it.
series. Yeah,
Right.
the directors
The
can do
screenwriters
that.
can do it.
But also,
In a
Shay, without telling a lot about what's going on in the movie, with the children that are in the movie, with
Yeah.
their abilities, it helps make it
helps
more
explain.
believable.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
All right,
Great watch.
hey, y'all pulling out some ones I haven't seen. I got to get on it.
That C is awesome.
It's phenomenal.
It really is awesome.
It is
I
phenomenal.
I
Okay,
can't
I'll
wait.
check it
I can't
out.
wait for season 2. I can't wait for season 2.
Okay,
Because I was
all
like,
right.
man, this don't make no
Yeah,
sense.
thank you for giving me something on Apple Plus because they gave me that year subscription for free, and I'm
Yes.
like, I don't see
Yeah.
none of that. I wonder why.
The fight scenes in that movie are awesome too.
Awesome.
Okay, all right.
Fantastic.
Awesome.
See, when you get somebody go, oh, I know it's good.
I'm telling
That's
you,
always an
it's
indicator.
Yeah.
All right, so enough. What's your TV show of the week?
TV show of the week, sticking to the theme of Apple TV Plus. I've actually been very impressed with Apple TV Plus programs that have since its launch in last fall. So sticking to that, Defending Jacob is another great
I've
series.
heard about that.
That is an amazing one. Me and my wife watched it. Talks about families' lives that are irreparably disrupted by when the son is accused of murdering a fellow classmate. And Chris Evans is the dad, who's also his son's attorney, that had to be recused because of his relationship with his son. Michelle Dockery plays the mom, and the son was Jaden Martell. It's filled with star-studded actors and actresses that basically put together a nice drama series that you enjoy. Season 1 has only been out, I think it's about 10 episodes for season 1. Looking forward to season 2. Obviously, they stopped or paused the shooting for season 2 because of the pandemic. But season 1 is available. Y'all should watch that. That's a good series to watch.
Okay, awesome. We got some good ones, y'all, and they're up to date too. Stuff y'all need to check out. My TV show of the week is called The Boys. Where can you watch this at? Prime Video. The year was released was 2019, and it is up to season 2. Just came out. So check that out. The plot of the show is that The Boys is set in a universe where superpower individuals are recognized as heroes by the general public and owned by the powerful corporation Vault International, which markets and monetizes them. Outside of their heroic personas, most are arrogant and corrupt. The series primarily focuses on 2 groups, the Seven, Vault International's premier superhero team, and the Titular Boys. They are vigilantes looking to keep the corrupted heroes under control. Just so y'all know, this is not for kids. So it ain't
It's
that
not.
type of superhero movie, okay? It's very irreverent. You know, it got all of
So
that.
it's a
the bad
rated
stuff in
R
there. Yes.
action
It's
packed
mature. It's
action
It's for adults.
It's mature.
superhero movie. Okay.
What I really like about it and why I think you should check it out is it takes you behind the scenes of a day in the life of a superhero. You know, what is it like for a superhero to who's a pervert? What would that be like? What if a superhero was on drugs? What would that be like? What if, just like in our capitalist society, what if the government made them mercenaries?
Yeah.
Where they created a business around them and they tried to contract them out to the military. You know, there's a lot of storylines going into a main storyline there, but it has the backdrop of the superhero genre. Very funny, but very, very detailed and very, very interesting because it's a different take on that superhero genre. So I definitely think you should check that out if you haven't already. Once again, it's on Prime Video. If you are Amazon Prime member, you can see all the Prime videos. So check that out as soon as you can. All right, next up is our oldie but goodie movie, and the criteria for this is it has to be the year 2000 or earlier. Okay, it has to be come out in the year 2000 or earlier. So first up is Andre. What is your oldie but goodie movie of the week?
There was a movie, I believe it was in the 1980s, 1980 or 1981. It was a fantasy movie. It's called Crow, and it deals with as usually back in the day, you know, there's a prince and he has to go save a princess. I feel it was very creative because it deals with the villain, who is this demon monster character. It's hard for the heroes to find him because every single day his castle moves different places and on this planet of Crow. And so the hero, he has to find his weapon of choice, which is known as the glaive. And it's kind of like a giant throwing star. And for a lot of people who are not aware, it is Liam Neeson's second ever acting role. I believe that there was another movie he was in before Crow. Crow was
Liam Neeson's.
Yeah, Liam Neeson. Yeah, I mean, being Liam Neeson, running around cutting people up with an axe and stuff like that. And look, it's a little hokey because it's from the 80s, but it was very different from a lot of the other fantasy and science fiction movies at that time. Very creative. Being a young boy, I was very much into the creations of Ray Harryhausen. For those people who don't know, like Clash of the Titans, he did all the claymation for the monsters and things like that. So they have some of that in here. It was an intriguing storyline. Like I said, it's sci-fi fantasy. And if you were into old school things like Ice Pirates or Time Bandits, things of that nature, you really enjoy that. So
that's a good one.
That's my throwback or old school movie of the day.
All right, go check that out. Where can you find that at? Is it on Netflix or?
That is a very good question. I don't think it's on Netflix. I believe you can get it from Amazon Prime. They're probably gonna make you pay like $4.99 or something, like maybe even $2.99. But it's Krull, Krull. Honestly, low key, it might even be on YouTube.
You know what? I think I heard about that movie, Dre.
Yeah.
It's an old movie.
Yeah, when we were kids that came out.
Yes, seen it. We were like first or second graders. We were little kids. So, well, the main character, and guys, I'm a geek person, so I'm into different genres and whatnot. The main actor in that movie, he plays a character on Star Trek, The Next Generation, and also in Star Trek Deep Space Nine. I brought that up. It totally blanked on the character's name.
It's all right.
You know, right. But anyhow, he's a person who defects from the Starfleet, and he joins the Maquis, which is a resistance force hell bent on destroying the Cardassians. Other than that,
did you say the Kardashians?
Yeah, no.
It sounded like
there's a group of aliens known as the Kardashians. The
Kardashians.
Kardashians, and
it's an S, not a sound.
The Kardashians.
Oh.
That's funny.
Yes,
that's funny.
Believe it or not.
Well, for all of those people who are watching this or listening to this, and you want to communicate with us, and you can fill Dre in, he blanked out. Go ahead and leave it in the comment section what the actual name of the character is, if you do know that.
I totally forgot.
If it's not important to you, that's fine. Don't. But I'm glad you're here listening to us. We're gonna move right along to the oldie but goodie, and that is Eric E-Rock. Let's do it.
E-Rock.
Yeah. So my oldie but goodie is Total Recall. One from 1990, not the.
Oh yeah. It's Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah.
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Well,
Yes.
the new one is past 2000, so yeah, we
Yeah.
know which one you're
It,
talking
it
about.
it stars Arnold Schwarzenegger, Sharon Stone, Michael Ironside. And it's basically set in the future. It's a futuristic sci-fi movie in the year 2084, where it talks about Mars being colonized by humans, and it's big time sci-fi action movie. It's a good watch. It's really funny as well. A lot of funny scenes in there. So I would say definitely check that out. You should be able to, I know you can get it if you have like the Amazon Fire Stick. If you do a search, it will come up. I think it's like $3.99 to rent. It's also on YouTube as well, so you can also check it out on YouTube.
All right. Next up, we got Shay Z. What's your oldie but goodie of the week?
All right, my oldie but goodie movie of the week is Fight Club.
Ah,
So
you
this
say y'all
was
taking some good ones, man.
so Fight Club was released October 15, 1999. And the main characters is actually you have
Brad
Brad Pitt, Edward Norton, and Meatloaf was in it, and you have Jared Leto. People don't know it, but Jared Leto was in it as well. It's actually listed as a comedy drama, but it's rated R. It's darkly comic drama. Edward Norton stars as a depressed young man who has become a small cog in the world of business. He doesn't like his work and gets no sense of reward from it, attempting instead to drown his sorrows by putting together the perfect apartment. He can't sleep and feels alienated from the world at large. He becomes so desperate to relate to others. That's how he is taken to visiting other groups for patients with terminal diseases and so on. On that day, one day he had a business flight, and he discovers Tyler Durden, played by Brad Pitt, and he was the one that basically introduced him to this club or this fight club. So you have to watch it. It's hilarious. It is action. It's drama, but then it's rated R. Fight Club, released in 1999.
Awesome. Next up, Show Enough. What's your oldie but goodie of the week?
Oldie but goodie of the week, a movie called Taps. I enjoyed this movie when I was a kid growing up in Nigeria, but this is an old movie. It's a drama movie that was released back in 1981, starring Tom Cruise, Timothy Hutton, and Sean Penn.
Is that a military movie?
It's a military movie.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah,
I couldn't remember.
Military movie. They were cadets in a military academy called Bunker Hill, and have been targeted by real estate developers for demolition. The students were outraged. The cadets were outraged, and they thought that their school had been turned into condominiums, and they vowed to fight back for it. And it's during this school-wide rebellion that ended in a lot of tragedy. It's a very good movie. I actually thought that this was Tom Cruise coming out party. This is where people start to recognize how good of an actor he was. He was a
Risky
very
Business,
young.
man. I'm sorry. Risky
That
Business
came out.
was Tom
That came
Cruise.
out after. That came out after.
That's his coming out party. Risky Business was the one.
But
You might be right. That might be if you really wanted to recognize, like, okay, let me put this in. Maybe that wasn't his coming out party, but it's at least the movie where I thought a lot of directors started to recognize good talent. They started recognizing good talent from this very young age, Tom Cruise, and the way he acted in this movie, I started like following him since then. So this is a good movie. The budget of this movie was only 14 million, but it made over 35 million in the box office back then. So 1981, young Sean Penn, young Tom Cruise, and Timothy Hutton. That was a very good movie.
Awesome.
By the way, I forgot to add where you can actually get the movie Fight Club. It's available on HBO Max if you have subscription, but you can also rent it from Prime Video, Fandango, or Vudu.
Yeah, Taps is available on YouTube for $3.99, iTunes for $3.99, Amazon Prime for also $3.99.
Awesome. You guys got some heavy hitters. Well, I'm gonna round it out. I think I got a good one too. My oldie but goodie of the week is New Jack City. Okay, this was released in 1991. I was literally just starting high school in 1991. And I remember going to the theater and seeing this movie, and it was amazing because it spoke to something that was real in our communities, which is the crack epidemic. You know, I've seen that firsthand, and it gave a really good sense of kind of that Scarface, except with all African American cast. So it's available on all streaming services for rental, or you can buy it. It's an old DVD, so you can buy that for like $5 probably right now.
Right.
But it stars Wesley Snipes, who plays Nino Brown, a rising drug lord in New York City during the crack epidemic. Ice-T plays Scotty Appleton, a detective who vows to stop Nino's criminal activity by going undercover to work for Nino's gang. This movie was so relevant for its time when it came out. This movie follows in the footsteps of Scarface, except with an all black cast, like I said before. Awesome acting by Wesley Snipes and the rising acting skills of Ice-T. This movie is an all-time classic and marked a generation. If you haven't seen it, watch it today, and if you have, revisit it for the memories. Okay.
But you don't revisit movies.
I'm telling right.
That was
right.
a good one.
I'm not saying be like me, because you can't.
I'm just joking.
But yeah, it's a great movie. Great movie. Moving on to our next segment. We have talked about our movies. Now it's time to talk about our random shut your mouth. All right. We're going to cover the topic of the what we would consider on this podcast the murderer of Kyle Rittenhouse. Now, if you don't know who Kyle Rittenhouse is, he's a 17-year-old just recently who has been charged with 6 counts in the deaths of Joseph Rosenbaum and Anthony Huber and the attempted killing of Gage Grosskreutz. I'll probably mess that name up, but it's Grosskreutz, I believe. On August 25th, upon the recent shooting of Jacob Blake, protests rang out in Kenosha, Wisconsin. Kyle Rittenhouse, 17-year-old, who lives in Antioch, Illinois, and a staunch supporter of the Blue Lives Matter movement, went to Kenosha, Wisconsin with his AR-15 assault rifle. He was seen walking with the local militia members on various videos on social media. There was a confrontation with some of the protesters and several people were shot. He has been charged on first-degree intentional homicide, first-degree reckless homicide, reckless endangering safety, and possession of a dangerous weapon. No pleas have been entered. A judge will decide if he will be extradited back to Wisconsin, where he would be tried as an adult. If he is convicted of the first-degree murder charge, he will get life in prison. His lawyers say he acted in self-defense against the protesters. In a video taken by a journalist with the Daily Caller, Rittenhouse stated he was in Wisconsin to protect local businesses from after Kenosha, Wisconsin had experienced violent unrest for 2 nights that left businesses burnt, looted, and damaged. He also said people are getting injured, and this is a quote, people are getting injured, and our job is to protect these businesses. And part of my job is to also help people. If there's somebody hurt, I'm running into harm's way. That's why I have my rifle, because I need to protect myself. But I also have my med kit. Title. So what do you guys think of the Kyle Rittenhouse thing? As of right now, I still haven't heard about any charges unless you guys have any new information. Once again, 17-year-old white kid came across state lines with his AR-15 to protect people in their businesses.
So
What do you think?
So let me go first real quick. So I kind of I'm all over the place in terms of the views from this situation because I personally I don't think a citizen should just roam the streets with an assault rifle. without permission. I don't know if he got permission from the police department to do that.
Second
And more
Amendment
important,
right.
no, I'm not talking about Second Amendment right. I'm not saying the amendment to own weapons. You can defend. So my understanding of Second Amendment right is you can defend your territory. You can defend your home with the right to bear arms. You have the right to bear arms to defend yourself. My understanding of Kyle Rittenhouse is he got into an automobile and drove out of state with an assault rifle to get involved. Now, I don't know the laws between interstate if you're allowed to do that. I can't imagine if another group, quote unquote, black and brown people can take an assault rifle, go to another state and roam the streets and get involved in an altercation if they just because they want to protect the businesses of that city or state. I don't know what rights I have to go out of my state right now in Texas to go defend a Wisconsin business. I don't know any of that right now. So I don't understand why that's allowed. I have to believe that he's broken a lot of laws just by doing that. I have to believe that. I may be wrong. So don't quote me on this, but just to go out of state with a weapon and try to defend other businesses, I don't know if he is legal enough to do that by the laws of that state. That's number one. Number two, he is underage. I'm not even sure if he is supposed to own a weapon at that age. Maybe it is. And even if it is that by law in every state at that age? So I don't know. So to me, from that view, he's already wrong before the altercation happened. All right. The second thing the other view I would say is if from the video that I watched that you shared, Ron, with us last week, I believe, or was it 2 weeks ago? I can't remember. But what I saw was he was going away. The only video I saw was that he was going away from a group of people that he claimed that were trying to attack him. And I think he fell to the ground in that video and he was trying to defend himself. So it looks like he was trying to defend himself. Me personally, I wouldn't attack anyone with a gun if I don't have a gun.
Exactly.
So I from that viewpoint, it looks like self-defense, but you almost have to also look at the other side. So there's so many views I'm looking at that the last view I would even say is after he killed two of those citizens and injured another. There were people yelling, "Hey, he killed people! He killed people! He killed this guy! He killed that person!" And the police just went by him. I can't imagine if this was a black man with an assault rifle, where white people saying he killed, or even black people just saying he killed someone, and a group of police cars and armed trucks, military-style trucks, will go by him. That's a dichotomy that we're facing in this country. Is that there's a lot of privilege. When we say white privilege, that's exactly what we mean. But that's my viewpoint.
That is very interesting. My viewpoint is I need to see more of the video before I can put more judgment or pass more judgment on this guy. However, one of the charges, as you read, Ron, came up to me, and I don't know if you read every single one of them, but I'm actually looking online and seeing some of the charges. One of them is possession of a dangerous weapon under the age of 18.
Yes. And he was
so the thing is, even before the self-defense claim can happen, you shouldn't be holding that weapon to begin with. Then you cross state lines with that weapon that you shouldn't be having. So he's not going to get off entirely. He's still going to be jailed. He might get off for self-defense, which that's argumentative because looking at the video, you can claim self-defense based on how, if you go frame by frame in that video, you will see how it's argumentative that he was fighting for to save his life. But the thing is that you also have to prove that bodily harm or deadly harm was going to be caused to you in order to use that weapon or use deadly force, because that's what self-defense is. Self-defense is if someone tries to, you're meeting that person that is trying to cause harm to you with the same type of force. And if that person was about to kill you, then you can claim self-defense and kill that other person. But if you're not meeting deadly force with force equal force by defending yourself, then that is argumentative. That is what is going to be looked at. So I didn't think he should have been there. His claim, and then the first thing he said when they asked him is, I was there to protect the other businesses. First of all, these businesses don't belong to you. So
And they're insured.
And they're insured. That's first of all. Second of all, they didn't ask you, they didn't hire you. The business owners didn't hire you to go defend their property. Third of all, the police is there to protect property.
Exactly.
So what are you doing there? So that argument is not even going to fly in court. You know, the lawyers, that's the reason, there's a reason why the lawyers only came out and said they're claiming self-defense. They've not mentioned anything else that he has violated. They only talked about self-defense. I guess at least they're talking about the fact that it was justifiable for him to kill those other two individuals because they said it was self-defense. But as far as carrying a deadly weapon under the age of 18, the lawyers haven't spoken about that. As far as defending property that doesn't belong to you, the lawyers haven't spoken about that. They've only talked about him self-defense against, for killing those two people. So in my opinion,
those are the two biggest crimes. So he could go to life, crimes. So you want to knock those out.
Right.
First, at least get his time down.
Right. Those are the two biggest crimes. But the thing is, I think it might be concurrent in terms of the charges, because if you weren't supposed to hold that deadly weapon to begin with or cross deadly line, then the killing would have never happened. Mm-hmm. So the thing is, the prosecution is going to tactfully, if they have a very good prosecutor, is going to tactfully use.
Well, he has a public defender right now.
Right.
The reports say.
Well, that's the defense. The defense has a public.
Oh, you said the prosecutor.
I'm talking about the prosecutor. If they have a very good attorney, they would tactfully say, you know what, this crime would have never happened because you can claim self-defense, but you would have never had to use that type of weapon to begin with, if you did it unknowingly, or if you weren't too young to have this weapon to begin with. So the thing is, that is something that is going to be interesting to see, is how these two sides in court are going to fight this out.
All right, well, let me add another element, because you kind of, that was my first question was going to be, did he have a case for self-defense? But I'm going to add another element. There was another video that showed a little bit of what happened before that. And there was some of the protesters, they were in the parking lot, seemed like they were in front of a convenience store. Right. Somebody threw a plastic bag at him. So my question was, the initial person who threw the plastic bag and the protesters who chased him in the wrong?
Well, the person with the plastic bag, is that the person that got shot?
That I'm not sure of.
So
but that's what started the chain of events. So because technically that is assault. Technically.
Right. It is assault.
Yeah.
A plastic bag. It depends on what's in the plastic bag. To me, I'm a firm believer of what the stand your ground law says. The stand your ground law, or defending yourself law, talks about using force to combat equal force that is being exerted to you. So my thing is, I'm not good. It's kind of like there's a saying, you don't bring a knife to a gun party, right? So, the force it has to be equal. If it's not equal, then I can't say.
And not only that, you can also even say, if he didn't know where that plastic or paper bag was coming from, remember, he went into the crowd, okay? He drove across state lines to go into a hostile situation.
I made it more hostile.
So when you go in with an assault rifle and you go into a crowd and someone throws a paper bag at me, what are you going to do? Shoot the whole crowd? Like, if that was the case, the police should justifiably kill the entire rioters.
Well, they tend to do that anyway. But
what I'm just saying,
the legal definition, the general legal definition for assault varies by jurisdiction, but is generally defined as intentionally putting another person in reasonable apprehension of an imminent, harmful, or offensive contact.
You're absolutely right.
Physical injury is not required.
No. I'm not talking about physical injury, Ron. What I'm saying
I'm just saying he could still be, as far as defending himself. If you throw something at me,
but by your definition,
that's assault.
Was that imminent?
No. That's not what I
just read.
Hold on. Let me.
What Ron just said, by your definition, was that imminent though?
Let me ask this. You're absolutely right with everything you read, Ron. The only problem that I have with that is he did not know who threw that paper bag. If it is true that he is being threatened, who threatened him?
But
you can't guess. You can't take that guessing game and say
Well,
and turn around and say, "Oh,
my
I don't
thing-
know who is threatening me. I'm gonna shoot
Right.
everybody."
And yes, it was
don't think-
imminent.
I don't
Imminent
think-
just means it's about to happen.
No,
So-
no.
Well-
read that definition again. When you said imminent, you said imminent something. Read that.
Yeah,
that
you
part.
said, was it imminent? And
No,
I
no.
said,
Read
yeah.
that definition. That part again.
All right, hold up. The definition for assault varies by jurisdiction, but is generally defined as intentionally putting another person in reasonable apprehension of an imminent, harmful, or offensive contact. Physical injury is
Harmful.
not required.
Okay, so harmful. Yeah, physical injury is not required, but harmful. Was that paper bag harmful?
Yes.
That's what I need to ask.
Yes.
Well, let me ask you this.
You don't know what's in it. Could have been a bottle in there. You don't know.
It's
you're
how
not-
you said
you
it.
guys are
said-
not
you
understanding
said-
But we're
my
guessing.
question.
You said
You're
they
not
threw
understanding
a
my
paper
question.
bag. So was it a balled up paper bag that was thrown? Was
It
a
doesn't
paper bag?
matter.
It
It
doesn't
doesn't have
matter.
to
It
cause
doesn't
physical
matter.
injury. If
It
you
doesn't
throw
matter.
something at anybody under the definition, you are assaulting them. So at that point, can I react to defend myself?
But you can. But here's the problem, Ron. You can react. That is the definition of an assault. But the problem is who you're assaulting. That's my
Exactly.
question.
That's a good question.
That is my question.
I don't
because-
know if that's the same person. I have no idea. I just know
Exactly.
that that's what led to the events.
We don't even know if
Later.
he knew. We don't even know if he knew who threw the bag.
But here's the
You
reason
can't-
why.
you can't just.
That's a
you
very
can't
good
turn
point.
Around.
Here's the
who
reason
you defending
why-
yourself against. Like,
Here's the
I don't
reason
know
why.
what it's-
good
Here's the
point.
reason why I have that problem with that definition, because if you saying anything thrown at, whether it
You could
causes
spit
body,
at somebody and it'd be considered
Yeah.
assault.
okay, so then in
That's
that
true.
case, the gentleman that was sitting at the back of a pickup truck with a Trump flag that fired paintballs at peaceful protesters should be arrested. Because
Absolutely.
that-
Absolutely.
If
Absolutely.
someone
but-
charges him, it sues him. They
but they're
can.
not
I mean,
going.
he
They,
can-
you
they
but
can
you know
follow-
what? But you know what everybody's been saying about that? That is not an assault. So
It is,
there's
though.
there's a lot of confusion in that definition already.
No, it is. It's just somebody has to bring charges. That's the problem. They don't want to bring charges. A lot of these
It is
district
assault.
attorneys don't want to bring charges.
Exactly.
It could be
Exactly.
the letter of the law, but if they don't feel like they can win the case, they don't bring
Yeah.
charges. And this is where the corrupt system comes in. So that leads me to another question. Are the charges against him appropriate? We had 6 counts. You want me to read them again?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen them.
Okay.
I've seen them. Yeah.
One of the first charge is first degree intentional homicide. Does that seem appropriate?
Yep.
I don't know if it's
Probably
appropriate.
manslaughter, but
Manslaughter is more like
because homicide, you have to prove his intent to come
intent,
there.
exactly.
Okay.
Kill
So
them.
that's the one they're gonna probably be easy to knock
He's
down.
gonna easily knock
Yeah,
down that.
probably
First
don't get down
degree,
to manslaughter.
first degree reckless homicide.
Yes.
That
He was
might
very
be
reckless.
also that
That
might
might-
be manslaughter too. I'm not sure, but
Yeah.
that's probably
Right.
what that is.
No, I don't think it's
Reckless.
manslaughter. I don't think it's manslaughter.
Reckless
think so?
homicide is better. Reckless homicide is the
Okay.
one you can't get them on.
Recklessly endangering safety and possession of a dangerous weapon.
That
Which
is
goes to
that is if he doesn't get on, if he gets off on that, that's when people be pissed.
So, okay, yeah, that like I think
But you only
we might not get all of them, but he's gonna get
No,
them.
yeah, their fourth one is
Yeah, they didn't do all of them, or it could be degrees. I don't know how the law works, but those are the ones that.
No,
were in
there's
the
another
article.
one. There's another one. Possession of a dangerous weapon under the age of 18.
Under the age, he was
So
17.
that's definite.
Yeah.
Look, I didn't even know that was it, but I was already thinking in my mind, like, should he be carrying this at age
Yeah.
17? Like
17 years
across
old.
state lines. That's just
Across
like,
state lines.
Yeah.
So next question I want to propose to you guys. Was this a racist act?
absolutely.
It probably
Prove
was.
it.
Let me tell you why
All
it's a
right.
racist.
All right,
Shay,
let
go
me-
ahead. Shay, go ahead. Go ahead.
The reason why I say it's a racist act is Kyle Rittenhouse already had a history of going to events. When I read online, he was going to events like police events in terms of protecting neighborhoods during a protest. Now I don't know how many he has. I don't know how many protests he has gone to, but he went to an event. I think the last event he went to was at his home state where they were talking about his serve and protect because they mentioned that he came out from a police academy or he was one of the
He's like some cadet or something.
cadet academy. So he obviously either wants to be part of the institution of being a policeman, or maybe being part of a group of.
I hope he doesn't become a policeman.
But
He not now.
I don't know if there was a reason why he's not yet. I haven't gone that far. If he's not,
Not old
17 years
enough.
old. It's not old enough.
okay, so he's not old enough, but he still wants to exercise his right now. From that standpoint, he's not a racist. My reasoning of calling him a racist is for you to get into your car, right, and go and get involved in another racially heightened situation tells me where your mindset is. Okay, if this was different, if this was in his own backyard and he was like, I'm trying to protect my house, I'm bringing out my gun.
It's totally different.
To me, it's totally different.
Right.
But
Absolutely.
his agenda, right, to get in a car, drive 30 miles plus out of state,
About an hour.
to get involved in a racially profiled situation in which the world had already seen the video, and there was like an unarmed black man was shot 7 times by police, tells me where his mindset is. That means he's on the side of the police, or at least that police officer, not just the police, but that police officer, and justifying the shooting of that person. We've not seen any video where he counters the police about shooting Jacob Blake, but instead he's talking about protecting businesses, most importantly, white businesses, and white businesses in another state. So the reason why I said it was a racial heightened act by him is because of his intentions. And so far, he hasn't said it, but his intention shows to go out of state. That's the side that you're standing on. And when you're standing on that side, you're not seeing the humanity side, in my opinion. For him not to see the humanity side only results to the racial, racist act that he has portrayed. That's why I call it a racist act.
Go, Dre.
Essentially, you're asking, okay, is he a racist or whatnot?
This was a racist
What he
act.
did, what did he commit it? Was it
I'm not saying it's a
what
racist.
what
I'm
he
saying
did
it
a
was
racist
the
act?
The act was a racist act.
So was
The
it
thing is,
racially motivated?
We'd have to know the intention, but just as a feeling, in my opinion, like it was mentioned before, where number one, the police did not commission you to come cross over state lines because they needed your help with your AR, whatever,
15.
AR-15.
Yeah. assault rifle or whatnot. I have to look at his history. I feel like it was racially motivated. There's some of his whole being that almost feels like Hitler Youth, like he was almost indoctrinated in this. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
I don't know. He just popped out and came up with this whole ideology by himself. I don't see that. I feel like this was indoctrinated. We can't prove whether or not he specifically came over to shoot black people. And the fact of the matter is he shot white people.
Right, he did.
Right.
It's difficult to say. All I can say is it's like, I feel as if it's racially motivated, but without any type of manifesto on his Facebook or his Instagram or something. I don't have the 100% assurity to say that, but just the situation that surrounds it, it feels as if it was racially motivated.
You know what? Looking, and it's a good thing you said that, Dre, about the manifesto. Looking on the surface, I am going to say that it is, I wouldn't say 100%, but I would say it's majority percent of my feeling, how I feel racially motivated. Only because when you look at some of the manifesto that is beginning to surface on his social media pages and videos of him attending Trump rallies, you know, sitting in front rows, the way Donald Trump talked against people who protest.
Yeah.
You know, if you look at the actions of what Donald Trump has done against peaceful protesters, saying that we will go ahead and clear this, he even, you know, listen, when you follow a person that has that mindset of people taking a knee and trying to spread awareness,
You're a racist.
or saying that, or saying the NBA is now become political because they have names of people that have been deceased or killed in the arms of police through police brutality on the backs of their jerseys. You're now calling the entire NBA a political, saying that their ratings are going down. You don't like when you have someone listening to someone like that and then you take action based on what he's saying. Because Trump has the biggest microphone. People will listen.
Yeah.
That motivated him to drive across state lines with an AR-15 for a 17-year-old.
Yeah.
To get in the car and drive a whole hour, now claiming he probably wanted to kill some black people. I can't prove that. He just happened to kill white people who were fighting for black people. So technically, it's still racially motivated.
That was what I was gonna say.
Yeah, it's still racially motivated. So yeah, he killed white people. And you know what? The right, the people who are pro-Trump will come out and say, "Well, he killed white people, so it can't be racially motivated."
And not only that,
they don't get it.
The right wingers are calling Kyle Rittenhouse their hero.
Of course,
that to me it explains
everything.
Now, I know it's their opinion, but I'm just saying for you.
So yeah, it is racially motivated for me. I just feel like it's going to be hard to prove in court. Again, these type of things. First of all, you don't have a law that condemns hate crimes yet. At least not across probably almost every state
that condemn hate crimes.
You got hate crime. That's what they call hate crimes. Their crimes. It's just hard to prove it. Yeah, you have to prove intent.
You have to prove intent.
That's a hard thing to do. You don't know what's inside of a person's heart.
You don't know what exactly. So
you have to look at their history leading up to that. Right. What I would do is I would look to see, did he ever do this anyplace else? And if he did, was it always a racial protest?
Right.
Like, did you do this? Did you do this for another kind of protest where you felt like you should protect the property?
No,
that's where it was like more white people involved in that, right. And it was about something dealing with white people's culture.
We've not heard or seen any video of him in a women's march where they're protesting.
Yeah, if I see you doing it in a diverse setting, then I would say, okay, maybe he's just a gun enthusiast and he's overzealous. Right.
We've not seen that. But this is the only video that we've seen.
Yeah, and this is the only time you've ever done it, or there's a reoccurring time you do it, and this always seems to be against like the Black Lives Matter protests or something like of that nature, then I'm going to start to feel like there was some type of intent behind it, some type of a racial motivation.
Right.
Last question: should he be tried as an adult?
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yes.
He should be tried.
He should be tried as. Sorry, go ahead, Dre.
No. He actively used a weapon and murdered people, ended their lives. He went into a situation that he was not invited into. Like you said, everything that's involved. He crossed state lines. He whether or not, let me put it like this. He put himself into a strange situation. He put himself into a situation that was already volatile, and volatile things happen. And so now you don't get to say, oh, wait a minute, I'm a kid. No, you murdered people. You ended their lives. You totally destroyed, and this other person, this third person who's wounded, I'm not sure of his condition or their condition.
Yeah, they got shot in the arm. I think they're going to lose their arm.
Okay.
Or they lost their arm.
That's a life-altering event. That alters this person's life. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, we're not patty caking with you. You want to be an adult, now you're going to get treated like an adult. So, absolutely. Absolutely.
So here's my take on this. You know, I've always had this debate when it comes to the NRA. I'm not against owning a weapon.
I'm not either.
I'm sure the NRA people will like, they have the right to own a weapon. Okay, so fine. You have a right to own a weapon. If you commit a crime and that stuff, you should be tried as an adult. I'm sorry. So my thing is, you don't have it both ways. You can't say, oh, a 15-year-old should not own a weapon, or a 17-year-old should not own a weapon. Because they should have that right to protect themselves. And then when they actually make a mistake with that weapon, they should be tried as children? No. They should be aware of the consequences. You can't have it both ways. So to me, if any American citizen goes through the formal process of owning a weapon, especially an assault rifle, okay, get the training to use that, you should be automatically be tried as an adult if you commit murder or any type of manslaughter with that weapon.
Shay, I could
That's how I see it.
Shay, so if there's an underage person, 16-year-old, 17-year-old, gets drunk, is high, and wrecks into someone and kills somebody, vehicular homicide, Are they tried as adults?
That is a question for me.
Absolutely.
Now you're in my department.
Absolutely. And the reason why I would echo that, Dre, is that in America, it's illegal to drink under the age of what?
21.
Okay.
21.
So, but what's the age limit?
The age limit in
gun.
Illinois.
For a gun.
The age limit in Illinois is 21 as well.
For
you
gun?
gotta have. Yeah, if I'm not, let me look it up again. I did look it up a second ago.
In wherever he was at, because I know
he's from Illinois. He's from Illinois. He drove from Illinois.
Oh, so he even had it in the first place.
Yeah. Well, but
I'm reading it. Gun laws in Illinois. Applicants under the age of 21 must have the written consent of a parent or legal guardian who is also legally able to possess firearms. When a firearm is sold or transferred, the buyer is required to present their FOID card.
But why are the charges saying under the age of 18 instead of under the age of 21?
That's Illinois. Wisconsin generally prohibits the intentional transfer of any firearm to an individual under the age of 18. The state also generally prohibits the possession of a firearm by any person under the age of 18. So since it happened in
Wisconsin, that makes sense.
That law applies.
So, but you know what, Dre, you brought up a very good point, because I was going to use that analogy. Why he should be tried as an adult when you brought up a vehicular homicide or an accident, because you can. And I believe this is in almost every state. When you give, I know they have temporary license at the age of 15, but once they pass the test, they're controlling a vehicle, expensive vehicle that is on average $3,000 equipment, which is a car, and you cause bodily harm. When they penalize you, punitive damages are like the same way they penalize an adult. Mm-hmm. Even if it's a teenager that is 16, 17 driving the same vehicle. So the thing is, the punitive damages that are assessed on the driver who inadvertently drinks and not supposed to drive, and they do that, they penalize you. They don't treat it less fairly because you're 16 or 17. You committed homicide. So the punitive damages are the same. So the same goes for a gun. If you possess a gun and you kill somebody inadvertently or intentionally, you're going to be tried as an adult. So yeah, he should be tried as an adult.
All right. Well, wrapping this up, man. It's been a great show. I appreciate you guys standing up for it. I think we lost E-Rock, but that's all right. Yeah, I think he just shut the camera down. But never mind that. We're gonna end this podcast or this episode for today. But I want you guys to tune in next week. If you enjoyed this show, please smash the like button and subscribe. It's free. It costs you nothing. Tell everybody about it, and be sure to check out the gear that we got coming up on our page soon. Any support is appreciated. And with all of that said, any final thoughts, fellas?
I would say be safe, vote, and God bless.
Yeah, go ahead, stay safe. Make sure you wash your hands, keep your distance, and abide by the CDC rules. And yes, vote. Even if it's an absentee ballot, go ahead and do that right now. Don't wait till the last minute.
I would say in any situation of conflict, argument, or anything, take the time, slow down, think about what you're saying, and honestly consider the other person's point of view and how they may have come to that point of view. Everything else,
Yeah, and I will echo that sentiment. We can't change these policies and these laws without voting the right people in. We have to get the corrupt system of bribery and bribing politicians out of there. And the only way we can really effectively do that is to go through the corrupt voting process, if that's the way you feel about it. Get registered. This particular vote is a very meaningful vote. This may not be your favorite. This may not be your favorite candidate. Trump is terrible.
Terrible.
It is. It is that bad.
It is that bad.
That you need to go ahead and just vote for the other party. I'm telling you who to vote. Everybody be like, just vote. No, vote for Biden. I don't. And I'm a Bernie supporter. I wanted to vote for Bernie. He didn't get in. I'm not voting for Trump. And if you want to know why, put it in the comment section. I'll tell you exactly why. This guy is incompetent and he's dangerous and he does not care. He's selfish. He does not care about anything but what his own profit. And that is not a leader that I want to lead our country and my children. So with all of that said, thank you for tuning in. Until next time, enjoy your life while you're here and watch movies and random shut your mouth. Peace, y'all.
See you later. Bye.
Later. Bye, guys.
Later.
Well, that's our show for today, everybody. Thanks a whole lot for tuning in. If you like what you heard today, make sure that you subscribe to the podcast. And if you're on YouTube and you like what we're doing, go ahead and hit the like button and also subscribe. We also want your feedback, so leave some comments in the comment section. And for those people who are listening on the podcast, we have an email address. So if there's some movies you want us to review or you have some critique on our takes, you can email us at moviesrandoms2020@gmail.com. And lastly, follow us on all of our social media. On Twitter, we're at movies_random_s1. On Instagram, it's random1sh. And on Facebook, it's movies, the & random1sh. So that's it. We'll come back at you with 2 more movies that hopefully you enjoy or dislike. We'll let you know one way or the other. But you have tuned in to Movies and Random. Shut your mouth. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Peace.